Hey, what's going on, guys? In this video, I want to talk about my first month in the Launch School JavaScript track, the Launch School program. Now, this video, I'm gonna go over what I've gone through so far, and it's been over a month. It's been about maybe 6 weeks, and I wanna talk about how my experience has been so far and how it is now preparing for the first assessment. So originally, if you guys watched any of my videos, I talked about how I started Launch School's Ruby track. While I started and I was in the first course, luckily, they let the students know that they were releasing a JavaScript track so that they would be covering full stack JavaScript, front end, back end, using Node, Express, and then teaching some front end frameworks later on in the course. So this was really appealing to me. I knew that I already worked with JavaScript in my job doing events-based web tracking for paid advertising. So I knew that JavaScript would be a little bit more useful for me, or a lot more useful than Ruby. So I went ahead and switched the courses and I started over. And basically what I've been through so far is LS95, their orientation, JS 100, programming and backend prep with JavaScript. And now I am in the final part of JS 101, programming fundamentals with JavaScript. I'm getting ready to take assessment number 1, just finishing up some of the problem sets. So I have a little bit of an opinion on the course so far, and then I kind of wanted to talk about this. So maybe if you guys have any questions, you can drop them in the comment and I'll make a specific video about it and how that relates back to my experience. So anyway, my experience with Launch School's JavaScript track after a little over a month, maybe 5-6 weeks. So it's been challenging so far. At each step, I've been surprised at how thoughtful and thorough the curriculum is. They definitely have gone above and beyond to make it one of the most thorough curricula I've ever seen. As I mentioned in previous videos, I've been through a lot of different bootcamp prep programs for some of the more difficult boot camps that have some sort of selection or interview to get in. I've been through a lot of different online courses. I've been a grad school student in CS and gone through a bunch of introductory programming courses there. So I have a good breadth of experience with these intro courses to get you onboarded to start learning programming. So I do think that this was by far the most thorough curriculum I've ever been through, especially when you start to get into the back end section. So I don't want to get ahead of myself. I'm going to take each one step by step. So LS95, the orientation, basically it goes over everything you need to get your developer environment set up. It goes over the preliminaries you need for an engineering workflow, including things like GitHub, as well as getting used to using the command line. So that was all very good, very straightforward, extremely thorough introduction. And I've been through so many different resources on how to use Git, how to get set up, how to use the command line. Both of these were the best that I've used, and I refer to them regularly, but I felt more comfortable after these resources than in any prior experience. Now, this obviously could be because I've had repeated exposure to some of these intro type materials at this point, even though, you know, my working in coding has been off and on over the years, over the last couple of years specifically, but these still felt like they were the most thorough. I don't think it's just because I've been through it multiple times. I think it's actually because they're higher quality instructions that focus on the most important point. So I was really impressed with the orientation, went right into JS 100, which is programming and backend prep with JavaScript. This section of the course is equivalent to most bootcamp prep course programs that utilize JavaScript. It takes you through all the JavaScript fundamentals, as well as a number of questions that range in difficulty through small coding challenges to slightly more involved programs, but nothing, you know, over 100 lines of code or so. I think even that would be longer than most of what was in the prep. So it's still pretty short coding challenges. There are a lot of problems that you work through. I think there's over 100 for this section. So it does give you more than enough to, you know, get your feet wet and get ready for some of the stuff that comes up in the back end course. So the next one, this is when the course officially starts and you start paying for the program. So at this point, once you get through JS 100, you send them an email letting them know you'd like to start the course and show that you've completed all the pre-course work. Then you pay and you get started with JS 101, programming fundamentals with JavaScript. So this takes you through all the backend programming fundamentals. And if you look at the example of time logs for students who've gone through the Ruby course material, you'll see that this intro to programming, this backend course in Ruby, is the longest course by far, or almost without exception for all the students that take the Ruby course. This first backend course is the longest course. There's many students that take, you know, 3 to 5 months on this course alone. And it's too early to say whether or not that will be the case with the JavaScript track. As you guys know, the JavaScript track was just released for Launch School in December of 2019. I think it officially made the launch in January of 2020. And so this is a new course. There's not a lot of students that have gone through it and logged their time on this JavaScript backend program. But my guess would be that this will also be the longest course in the JavaScript track because it is covering the same material. You know, as you guys remember from their mastery-based learning methodology that they showcase on the site. These languages, JavaScript or Ruby, are tools they're using to teach the programming fundamentals. So they're going to be doing those same fundamentals in both backend courses. That is why I believe this will be the longest course. So I'm not surprised that, I'm about 4.5 of the 6 modules through this whole course, but for the problems, which take quite a bit of time, I'm only about 1/8 of the way through those. So I have about 6 or 7/8 of the problems left to do out of the 127, I believe, or so practice problems for this course. This course has an exercise section of 127 problems for it. So I have about 6/8 or 7/8 of those left to go. And then for the actual course material that you read through and do the problems for the lessons, I have finished about 4.5 of the 6 lessons, and that's been in just over 4 weeks. So I've been moving at a good rate through this course, but most likely I'll be spending quite a bit of time going through these questions in detail. I've already seen that my progress has slowed down as I started focusing more on these practice questions, because in order to really do them as thoroughly as possible and get as far as I can before I use the internet or any other resources to get solutions, it's really taking quite a bit of time. So my guess would be that I'll probably spend at least another 4 weeks before I take the assessment at this point, because of the rate I'm going through the problems. But if that speeds up over the next week, I'll make a follow-up video letting you guys know, when I'm a week or so out from the assessment. So if I end up finishing those, more quickly in the next 2 or 3 weeks, I'll probably set up the assessment and try to get the first assessment knocked out within the month. So hopefully I'll have another video for you guys talking about how that went, if I didn't make it, if I do make it and I'm moving on to the next course, and what my overall thoughts were once I finished up this whole section of the program. So anyway, I hope you guys found that useful, especially if you're thinking about getting started with Launch School's new JavaScript track, but aren't really sure what it's going to be about. If you guys enjoyed this, please make sure to hit the like button and comment below letting me know what you liked, what you didn't like, what you'd like to hear about in the next video. And I really appreciate everyone coming out, spending a little time with me and watching. So if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe so that you're notified anytime that I come out with a video just like this. And please, if you haven't already, comment below letting me know what else you'd like to see on this topic. So thanks.